Hi, Cora Stack here again, Dr. Stack. I just wanted to um, talk about another issue that I've been very interested in and I feel needs addressing from my reading and research, and also advocating online for many, many years, and particularly post COVID and the work I've done and the research. A lot of it I've put up online. The papers that I've read, I've shared with my many readers, and I have examined it in Europe and America, and looked at some of the statistics in Ireland, and I've just put it all together again in this sort of framework or a policy document for discussion and consideration. So the title of my paper, or my summary paper, is called Rebuilding Community in Ireland, a national policy to combat loneliness, social isolation, discrimination and social isolation. I suppose they're all together, leaving people alone or isolating them, or is all a form of hidden discrimination in some way. So I think they're all connected. Ireland now reports some of the highest level of loneliness, social isolation and exclusion in Europe. I mean, this is so far away from the cave made a fault image that Ireland had, and it wasn't. It was an authentic image years ago, 20, 30 years ago. Ireland was such a friendly place. Neighbours helped each other. People, looked after each other. Families looked after their neighbouring families. All of that sort of thing. This troubling trend has intensified in recent years and accelerated in the impact of post COVID-19 economic pressures, and the breakdown of traditional community structures, which I've addressed. Loneliness is no longer a private hidden issue. It is a growing public health and social crisis that affects people of all ages, backgrounds and communities. Research shows that loneliness increases risks of depression, anxiety, cardiovascular disease, and even premature mortality. Beyond health, it erodes social cohesion, something I'm very concerned about as well, weakens community spirit, and exacerbates discrimination and exclusion. Ireland cannot afford to leave the challenge of rebuilding community life to chance or to piecemeal volunteer efforts. A coordinated national strategy rooted in strong local initiatives is urgently needed. So the vision and core principles that I'm presenting here are this policy paper sets out a vision for an Ireland where, I mean, it is aspirational, but it's very important that perhaps we at least have the aspiration that's expressed here, which says that the paper sets out a vision for an Ireland where every individual feels connected, valued, and supported, regardless of age, income, or background. The following principles guide this vision. Number one, community first. Solutions begin at local level, empowering towns, villages, and neighbourhoods to create inclusive spaces. Belonging without barriers. Number two, no one should feel excluded because of age, disability, ethnicity, status, or perceived wealth. We are where we are, and we are now in Ireland, where we are a multicultural society, and I think we need to examine how we can best all live together in a positive way that balances the needs and protections and well-being of all, and that nobody is excluded or nobody is discriminated against, or nobody is overwhelmed. I've mentioned several times that, in many discussions with what I call the squeeze middle or the middle income earners, which now call themselves the new working poor, they're tremendously, frustrated with the amount of pressure that's on them, to carry too much weight or responsibility for everybody else. And I think we need more of a balanced approach. So I'll talk about that in another time. Another time, but it's something that's coming up in conversation over and over again with ordinary people. The feeling of overload, and again, you could call it the squeeze middle burnout, the squeeze middle burnout. I mean, reasonably. Sustainable connection, rebuilding social life, but focused on long-term solutions, not short-term events. Connection with others is extremely important to sustain well-being. Health and well-being. Combating loneliness is as much about physical and mental health as it is about social contact. Number 5, shared responsibility. Government, local authorities, civil society and private partners must all work together. But again, I think combating social isolation and all these matters should not just be left to the Samaritans or local community groups, Pieta House. All of these people are doing great work, but this issue, there's a pandemic of it, and it needs to be driven by government interventions. As stated. So policy recommendations. Rebuilding, number 1, this is one of the things this is one of my ideas. Rebuilding community spaces. Years ago we had youth clubs, places where youngsters could go to meet other youngsters and engage in many interesting activities, that they would just relax on a Friday night, and it was the centre of their week to go to these youth clubs, and they were fantastic. And now there's hardly a youth club in the country. They've all been knocked down and replaced by apartment blocks or commercial premises. So I think we need to rethink how we redesign our community spaces, particularly within our local towns and villages and even cities, that we build places where teenagers, young adults can mix in a relaxing setting and in a productive setting. So we need to invest. So this is the big point here I'm making, not only for young people but also for older people or people on their own or people that need to interact, that they need, they don't want to go into a barn, to mix with other people. Like, I'm not saying everything is a barn or a shed. The work sheds are fantastic and they're brilliant. I mean, I saw a fantastic program on the work sheds work that was being done, by Nationwide. Were covering them, and they were absolutely fantastic. But I think they're brilliant. But I think we also need work sheds, in inverted commas, for other types of people that maybe are not handy with their hands. Maybe different types of spaces. So invest in the development of the renewal of community halls, libraries, and multi-purpose centres. Now, Ireland are doing a very good job at building world-class libraries, but I think along with those libraries we need world-class community centres, like the same things, maybe with a bit of a library, a bit of a coffee, a bit of a bit of a sitting down space, a bit of a lounge. So the libraries we're building, if we could also have community spaces centred on that level of excellence, I think we'll be doing great, because I've seen excellence, absolute excellence in libraries that have been built in the past few years in places that are outstanding in terms of their facilities. And I think it is these facilities we need for young people to relax, meet up, socialise. play cards, play whatever it is, just simple games, maybe a little bit away from technology, but just to chat and have conversations and meet and relax, so that they can feel they can go on their own into a safe space with people, whether they're young people, teenagers or older people, that they all have the same accessibility to this sort of community spaces. So if you look at the libraries that are being built, and if you were to take those excellent libraries that some of us are familiar with, that are being built in the past few years, and have the same amount of square footage in terms of community spaces for youngsters to socialise in at certain times of the day or certain days of the week, for older people to use. Some of the community halls are great, but they're too small for what I'm talking about. What it's the libraries, that level, or some version of those, I think. So there is a model there in terms of our first class libraries that we're building in certain towns and cities. That they're there, but it's just for a different purpose. So invest in the development and renewal of community halls, libraries. We're doing a very good job in the libraries where we have them, and multi-purpose centres. But I would say the same scale is needed as in the libraries for the kind of community rebuilding that we need. Design these spaces with lounge-style areas, newspapers, coffee shops and quiet corners for informal conversation. Ensure they're accessible, affordable and open to all. So this is my big idea, that we in every town, centre and city and areas in the cities, that we go from the big library to the big community multi-purpose centre, where people can feel free to go in and to sit down and mix and talk and chat and connect socially in a positive way with their peers, or even with older people. You could have different types of interactions, or places where people can interact in a healthy way. Events and engagement across generations, youth-focused initiatives, create youth clubs again. This is what I think, where are all our youth clubs? Youth discos. We don't have any discos anymore, hardly. The discos have all disappeared, same reason, replaced by commercial properties or apartments. Meeting spaces and arts and sports areas. For older generations, also establish social clubs, storytelling evenings and walking groups. Family and community events promote intergenerational gatherings through festivals, community meals and sports. Health, well-being and education. Community well-being programs on healthy eating, mental health and exercise. Now this also ties in with preventing dementia and burnout. I mean, across all the papers you'd read on how to maintain your health, number 1 seems to be movement and exercise, number 2 is sleep, and number 3 is healthy eating, number 4 social connection and engagement. So what I'm doing is trying to focus on all of these things and seeing how as a society we can offer these opportunities to people, everybody, irrespective of age, status, so that it's open to everybody. Now, I have also written a paper on migration and a balanced approach to dealing with the whole issue of migration. And in my opinion, people that are here, that are migrants, surely deserve access to spaces like this, access to work opportunities, access to education and skills development, rather than being, stuck in a place where they're 24/7 in the one place and have nothing to do. I mean, this has led in certain places to an awful lot of frustration for many reasons, and I think it's very unhealthy for the people that are in these hotels, but it's also worrying for others, in the community about this. And if there needs to be a completely new policy about how we deal with the migration issue, how do we integrate those that are here at the moment in a better way, in a healthier way, so that they have healthier lives, they have better rights, better facilities, better training and educational opportunities, better work and skills training, that so that they can have those when they go back, and also that people can see that these people are working or doing the best they can, for the money they're getting and the facilities they're getting. And I think if people see that, they'll better accept these people. And this is what we all want. People that are migrants don't want to stay at home all day, and people that are working all day perhaps feel that people that are at home all day they're paying for them. And so there needs to be we need to look at it differently, I think. So I've written a paper on perhaps how we could change the balance here, protect the human rights of all, and at the same time change the balance so that we have a better migration policy from now on. And there's nothing we can do about how we managed the situation in the past, but I think there is opportunities to have a more balanced approach to how we deal with our current migrants at the moment, and to preserve the dignity and respect and the human rights of those people, while also taking into account the concerns of so many in the squeezed middle and the huge pressures, that they feel are put on services, by people who don't see contributing to society, But the thing is, a lot of these people would contribute if they were allowed to do so. So it's not entirely their fault. So we need a human rights but a balanced perspective towards how we manage migration going forward. And I have a policy paper on that as well. Again, it's just a couple of ideas for discussion and solution. And we are where we are, so we have to sort of start from here. How do we move forward to best protect the human rights of all concerns and the rights of all concerns, with compassion, understanding, on all sides, there has to be a better balance between the perspectives and the way each side looks at each other, through better policies in terms of how we deal with these people. And people need leadership. They need better policies, and I think they're saying the policies at the moment are not working, and I think that's a fair assessment. Our migration policies at the moment are not effective, they're not working, and we need to change. And the question is, what is the best way forward from here on? How do we change for better human rights for everybody, for Irish people and for our migrants? What is the best balance for